Welcome, welcome, welcome. Our next section is on percent of a number. The first example talks about the fact that there are 400 seats on an airplane, 80% of the seats are in the economy class cabin, and then they ask how many of the seats are in the economy class cabin. Well, you might say, well, they already told me that, the answer is 80%. Well, it's 80% of the 400 seats that they mentioned that were on the entire plane. I also want you to note the fact that when they tell you 80% are in the economy class, they're also talking about the complement that 20% are not in economy. The bar model drawn here for method 1 is split into 10 sections. I personally think the bar model more clearly shows you that if you take the 400 seats and split them into 10 equal sections and mark 8 of them orange, you're showing that one section is 10%, and 10% would be 400 divided by 10, which is 40 seats. So then the 80% would be 8 times 40 for a total of 320 seats. The method they talk about is 100% is all of the seats, 400 seats. So 1% is 100% divided by 100, which is 400 divided by 100, which is 4 seats. So 80% is 80 of the 1%. So it's 80 times 4, which is 320 seats. Either way, you come up with the solution that there are 320 seats that are in economy. It also tells you the white section are the remaining seats, so you can find the difference between 320 and 400. Another method is to kind of just translate it into a mathematical expression. 80% of the 400, you write the 80% as a fraction times the whole number, and you come up with the same solution. I'm going to pause here to do the first guided practice, and then pause here to do the second guided practice. This next example is relevant to many people's situations where they know what percentages they do certain activities and they want to know what's the remainder. So in this one, they talk about a man who has a monthly salary of $4,400. He spends 25% on rent, 30% on food, and they say, what percent is left? So this first question is not talking about money at all, it's just talking about percentages. So if you look at the whole bar as all of his salary, 100%, and then mark off a section with 25% for rent and 30% for food, then you could see that you subtract the 25 and 30% from 100%, and that is the remaining amount, 45%. So then the second part of the question would be, well, how much money is that? How much money does he have left to spend? Well, it should be about half, because 45% is pretty close to half. So we're going to look at the second bar where 55% represents the food and the rent, and then the 45% remaining. So there are several different techniques you could do. I'm going to walk you through their 2 techniques, and then I'm going to explain one more. So again, 100% of his salary is all of it, $4,400. 1%, so you divide by 100, you get $44. So 45% would be 45 times 44, which is 1,980. So that's the money he has left after he's bought his food and paid his rent. Another is to translate it again into an equation and sequence of steps that we know how to perform. 45% times 4,400, which is 45 over 100 times 4,400, which again is 1,980. I personally think, if you think about 10% of 4,400 is 440. So 40% would be 4 of those, which is 1,760. 5% is half of 10%. So half of 440 is 220. So if I add those 2 together, I would get the 45%, and I still get the same answer of 1,980. I think that's a pretty cool way to look at it, and you can feel free to try those techniques or not, but you're always welcome to go down to the 1% and multiply up, or if you want to do it in bigger increments, that's fine too. So here's the guided question. Part A, you should be able to figure out on your own. Part B, if you want to figure this out, you can. Or if you want more guidance for it, you can, after you pause here to do the original problem, you can move on to the next page, and there is a way to walk you through it, 2 different methods. The 2 methods do it. And that's it. Thanks.